All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Public Works Committee meeting. My name is Ryan Austin. I am the chairperson of Public Works, also District 1 alderperson. We'll go around the room quick with some introductions.
My name is Madeline Kalfas, District 8.
I'm Jeff Dunscover, District 4 Alderman.
Dennis Pollock, 6th Ward Alderman.
Paul Ballard, Public Works Superintendent. Joe Eichstead, City Engineer.
All right, that's everyone. We'll call this meeting to order. Our first item of business is to review the Engineering and Street Department monthly activity report. Paul, you want to kick us off?
Sure, thank you. Report is attached in the agenda item. Just some standard highlights. The 9th Street construction during the month of September. The curb and gutter was installed. Our work group then backfilled the curb and gutter, added black dirt, and finish raked and seeded all the green areas, as well as finish graded the base course and adjusted the manholes. The asphalt paving is started today, this afternoon. So may not get completed today, but they're supposed to complete intersections tomorrow. Our Wiley Street project is continuing on fairly well. The sanitary sewer is completed, and a good portion of the water main is installed from 12th to 10th Street, with the remainder of that work from 10th to 8th being completed next week. We're hoping by the end of the week that that project, all the underground work will be done, and we'll just need to add some road base and then have the contractors come in and do the curb and gutter and sidewalk work, so that we can get that completed towards the first 2 weeks of November with paving and things like that. Our maintenance activities, just really kind of cleaning up a bunch of different projects. We assisted WRPS, the public schools, in completing their playground projects that they did throughout the summer, in seeding and hydromulching those areas for them. Here the last weeks, we had Wood County Highway in doing some maintenance patches for us, including some of the last alley project that we had going from Grand Avenue to High Street. We also had to do some maintenance to the East Commerce Railway, some switches that needed lubrication and things like that. That inspection will take place on Tuesday. We do it biannually, or twice a year, sorry, so that we make sure that CN is happy with our rail system so that they deliver it to our users out there. Our sign department is working pretty hard on trying to get our painting done, because obviously the weather is changing on us, and our cure temperatures during the day are dropping, so we should be coming to an end of our painting season and then go to the open work orders that we have for sign replacements and damaged signs and things like that. Our shop continues to be relatively busy, just doing general maintenance activities. Here in the middle of this month, we will start to switch things over to our winter activities, so getting trucks ready for salting and plowing and things like that. Also there, the first week of September, wanted to share that we provided a location for the local food pantry to deliver. I didn't get a report this time on how many thousands of pounds of food that they delivered, but it's we worked with them for probably since 2020. Our location is nice for them because it's out of the weather, so if they get any rain or anything like that, they stay dry and people just, revolve right through, so it's a good partnership. A few other things, just kind of an announcement or whatever. On Tuesday, September 7th, the Public Works Department lost a longtime employee in Scott York. He passed away from battling some health issues. He started employment with the city on March 30th, 2004, and he took a early retirement August 8th, 2023. While at the city, Scott held positions as an operator, being a dozer operator, a sweeper operator, a loader operator, grader operator, and a single axle and sander truck. So Scott served the city of Wisconsin Rapids for 19 and a half years. He was a good person and tough to lose that. Also then included in this, our compost site will be kind of switching over to the fall hours. So you have that included if you get calls from the constituents. So starting the week of October 7th, the east side will be open from 11 to 6:30, and then pretty much like every 2 weeks then we'll adjust by a half hour. And then again, daylight savings time the week of November 4th will be closing at 4:30. So with that is my report.
Thanks, Paul. I assume these hours are also posted on the website?
They are not posted on the website yet because people get confused with it. What we do is right away that October 7th we post it. They are posted at the gate saying October 7th, the hour will change to this, and then each time that we change them again, the week before, we post them right at the gate.
Thank you. And condolences to the York families. Anyone with questions, comments for street department? Go ahead.
I just have a quick comment. I just wanted to say thank you, Paul, for everything you and your department do to support activities like working with the food pantry. It means a lot to our community, and I know it's helpful. And everything you do for our employees, even after they're no longer with us.
All set. All right, we'll move on. Engineering. Go ahead, Joe.
Thank you. Activities for the month of September, we've continued on with design projects for 2025, as well as future projects, surveys for future projects, including 3rd Street North for storm maintenance project yet this fall. Anticipating the otter exhibit and zoo playground improvements for next spring, as well as a survey for 2026 on 2nd Street North. We also completed some improvements for the ADA entrance on the 2nd floor of the library. That work is complete. Mead pickleball courts, contractors' activities are kind of wrapping up with that project as well. We also submitted a draft plan set to the DOT for the predictive mobility project. That was just a couple days ago that we got that to them. And then with the help of Harris and Associates, we did get the federal rail crossing elimination grant application submitted by September 23rd. And then I guess the other update is the bridge lighting project began on September 16th. They're currently working on that this week and probably will be all of the month of October, but we anticipate by early November that project will be wrapping up as well. So that completes our monthly activity report. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Questions or comments on the engineering report? Go ahead, Jeff.
On the bridge lighting, is there a set date when we're just gonna light it up? Something set in stone or?
Nothing's been officially established yet for an official lighting ceremony or anything like that. Prior to that, though, the contractor will be testing everything. We fully anticipates that they'll need to readjust the light fixtures to the angles and such to get them directed just right. A lot of the fixtures are a narrow beam light that they have to cast down, like the bridge girders, for instance. So they'll be adjusting all of those. So there'll be some activity prior to, maybe officially lighting the bridge, but no official date has been set.
I was just thinking for the Christmas parade, that would be just a good thing to tie it all up. That would really bring a lot of enthusiasm to the project and this town. That's just my thoughts.
All right, we'll move on to item 3, which is review and consider approving the 2025 to 2029 capital improvement plan. Go ahead, Joe.
So I did hand out a paper copy document of the 5-year CIP for 2025 to 2029. There's also a location online that can be accessed off of the engineering department webpage or through there's a tiny URL web address that can take you there too. That would take you to a dashboard that's a little maybe more user-friendly to be able to digest some of the information, but you can definitely either the public or use it at your leisure. But by and large, this next 5-year plan incorporates a lot of the same projects from the last 5-year plan, the one that we're currently operating under. It did summarize the changes that have been made to the next 5-year plan, at least in draft form. Probably the most notable one was that we were looking to do East Jackson Street in 2025, and just considering where some of the other elements of that project are at, and looking at the current list of projects that we have for 2025 and the quantity of that work, that we're recommending to move that project to 2026. Let's see, some other highlights. 48th Street at Commerce Drive. That's being added into the 2026 construction season. That's primarily just a street surface project. It doesn't have underground utilities. 3rd Street North. I kind of mentioned in my monthly report that there's some storm maintenance project that the street department's going to pursue out there on that block here yet this fall. But at some point, it could be 2027 as proposed or some other future year, but it's one block of 3rd Street that doesn't have curb and gutter yet. There's been all of the vacant parcels that were platted in that area have since been developed, and there is a growing need to have new pavement and functioning storm sewer on that block. So we're looking at possibly 2027 to do that project. There's some other utility projects that have been kind of sprinkled in, along with additional pavement replacements as well. At the very back of the packet, that's where we've got the pavement replacement plan. It's been updated from last year's CIP as well. But Paul, if you have anything that you want to add on the pavement replacement plan.
So the pavement replacement plan was modified slightly. We did not get everything done in 2024, just because of some uncertainties on funding and things like that. And right now we just have things as placeholders in just doing some streets that have deteriorated quicker than what they were 2 years ago. So we kind of moved some priorities, I guess is the best way to say it. Sorry, this monitor's not good. And there's still just uncertainties through the budget process as to what our funding levels are going to be and things like that. So if we get more than what we have planned, obviously we can slide some things forward and things like that. So
I guess just one more thing to point out with the capital improvement plan in general and the amount of work that between reconstruction projects where we're replacing the street and all the underground utilities, or with the pavement replacement where we're just replacing the street surface, that the city has roughly 150 miles of roadway that has a typical lifespan of about 50 years. So that puts us at about 3 miles of replacement in general to try to accomplish every year. The pavement replacement aspect of it, as long as we don't have to touch the underground utilities, that can really help extend the mileage that we get done every year. But I noted on each of the pages of the capital improvements plan, roughly float around a mile, maybe a mile plus every year of road reconstruction. We're doing the utility work plus the street, and that coupled with where we want to be with the pavement replacement plan, our target is 3 miles a year. There's ebbs and flows of that, but we also have SDP projects with the DOT that, every few years or so, there's more mileage that gets added in those particular years as well. So, with that, if there's any questions that the committee has, otherwise, I guess at some point we do request that a motion is made to adopt the capital improvement plan. But otherwise, certainly if there's questions or changes or other feedback, certainly open to those.
Well, thank you, Joe and Paul. I appreciate the feedback on the amount of roadway we try to get done in a year. It's been a process since I've been in this position to try to gain as much as possible, and you guys are out there doing a heck of a job, so I appreciate all the hard work you put out there. I know it's a struggle to try to keep up with our deteriorating infrastructure, but again, I think every year it seems like you guys are hitting the mark. So, anyone else from committee?
Just to be clear, I get a number of questions about curb and gutter, especially along 16th Street where it's not there yet. So when that road gets to the point of being on the pavement replacement plan, that's when we would also update those areas to include curb and gutter?
Potentially. So 16th Street in particular, I guess it depends where it is. If it's, I know a lot of 16th Street is on the corporate limits between the city and Grand Rapids. Certainly we can reach out to them, at that time when we're doing the city's portion of those projects. Paul usually coordinates with them quite a bit on the pavement replacement aspects. And so if curb and gutter is part of that project, but yes, in general, those sorts of things are accounted for when we're doing a street reconstruction project. But there's limitations, I guess, if it's outside of the city.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, I would entertain a motion to approve the capital improvement plan.
I would make a motion to approve the capital improvement plan.
And I'll second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to vote. All in favor, respond with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. All right, item 4, review and consider grade crossing improvements on Kingston Road. Joe?
So I met, some of you might be aware of the 32nd Street grade crossing issue that we've kind of had in our monthly update over the summer months, but kind of coupled with that situation, we met with CN Railroad and the Office of Commissioner of Railroads on site for both the 32nd Street crossing and the Kingston Road crossing in July. And the premise of meeting for Kingston Road was that CN Railroad petitioned for dollars from the state to upgrade the crossing equipment that's there at the crossing. So the lights and constant warning time, things that they're responsible for, but things that are there because of the road crossing. And with that, the Office of Commissioner of Railroads, they reviewed the request, and with any request, they do some sort of audit or evaluation of, are the funds, is the request sufficient, should we spend the funds, or what's the cost benefit? In their review, the particulars of Kingston Road came up as far as, well, how much traffic does Kingston Road carry? What is, some of the safety issues that are present at the crossing? And then what's the kind of the public necessity of having that crossing And so basically what they've determined is that, at least from a financing standpoint at the state level, that the crossing, it doesn't make sense for the state to finance the equipment upgrades to the crossing at this time. And so they came to the city and said, basically explained that and said, what does the city think about closing that street? And so they go through and kind of lay out the process and how that could be done. Essentially, it kind of boils down to, from a incentive standpoint or leverage standpoint, that at the time that the Office of Commissioner of Railroads is evaluating this and determining that the road should be closed, or that the grade crossing should be removed, that they help incentivize that closure of the road, the cost for that. And so the DOT would match up to $30,000 of those removal costs. And that's matched by CN, or they match what CN's providing, I should say. And CN could provide, we can negotiate with CN, and CN could maybe provide additional funds for that removal of Kingston Road. If, in the event that the city doesn't want to remove the street, that incentive goes away. That cost sharing incentive that the state would help provide some funds to remove the road. If the city wants to keep the road, then the city would, from my understanding, would be responsible for the upgrade costs to that equipment to the crossing, which is valued at roughly $320,000 for a typical grade crossing for the signals and the communication piece that they have there with the constant monitoring. So the cost for removal, we did kind of provide a couple exhibits in the packet, cost estimate. At this time, it looks to be about $130,000 to remove the roadway and reestablish curb lines and provide access to there's 3 driveways that front that street, and removes the street from the CN right-of-way. So on one hand, we have the $130,000 cost to remove the road, and on the other hand, if we want to keep the road, potentially a $320,000 cost to pay for the upgrades of the railroad equipment. And that railroad equipment's there for the vehicles that are on the street. So in the event that Kingston Road is removed, there would be a process that we'd have to go through following this meeting. So I guess before I get into that, I should just mention there may be other questions that we need that we identify tonight or in the coming weeks that we'll need to get answers to about how this process works. In that we're not, I guess any motion that's made tonight would at best be a direction that the city would lean towards in order to take the first steps towards whatever process we want to go down, either keeping the road or removing it. If the city decides let's head in the direction of removing the road, we would have to have a public hearing regarding the closure, and then following that public hearing, there would have to be a resolution that's passed. That's just part of the state requirements that authorize that this is being officially removed. Secondly to that state process, we'd have to update the city's official street map. There would also be a public hearing to do that process. That's just more of an internal, the state's not involved with that aspect of it. But then at such time then CN removes the crossing, the city removes the street, and then, as I mentioned before, there would be some reimbursement costs from the DOT to offset some of those things, as well as we would anticipate that CN would be participating in removal costs as well. So there's probably a lot of information, but I guess if there's any initial questions at this time, again, I think, at best, just a motion indicating the direction to head in. I don't think anything is necessarily official at this point in either case, because we'll have to head down a process in both directions, whichever direction is, I guess, kind of determined tonight. Or if there's a variety of questions that we need to get answers to yet, we can always bring it back as well.
Sure. Okay, thanks, Joe. I guess I'll start us off here. I'm just looking at this map. I don't really see any extreme adverse issues with disconnection or road with the property owners that are in this location. Can you speak to that at all at this time? Do you see any issues coming from this?
Not so much for the property owners locally that are there. As for private driveway connections, I mean, they'll still have, we can reestablish, work with them to get their driveways reestablished to the new street. Probably more so would just be the inconvenience of the neighborhood. The second page of the second exhibit that's there, kind of zoomed out view of the street network there and kind of where that project is in relationship to the other neighborhoods and access to Plover Road and Washington Street, 32nd Street. Doesn't add materially much travel time, but it would be a change and something that may be a pro for some property owners and maybe some might be inconvenienced by it. But
How often are the warning devices upgraded typically?
I don't think very often. I don't know the requirements that they have to go through to evaluate those and then request repairs. I'm guessing there's probably either some aging equipment that's causing some safety-related concerns, or potentially some failures in equipment or imminent failures that they're realizing that they're going to have some expenses coming up to get those improvements made.
So is it every 20 years typically, longer, less?
Not sure, but I mean, that it's a question I can get an answer to. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the original equipment that's out there.
Okay. Anyone else from committee?
I'd kind of like to put this off to maybe next month so I can do some research on this. This is in my district, and I guess I'd like to maybe take a ride out there with Joe someday and go over exactly what it is and who's going to be affected and how they're going to be affected. If we could bring it back maybe next month, and by then we should all know quite a bit more. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
My initial gut feeling has just been 130,000 instead of 320,000, especially on railroad warning devices and equipment, which I'm 100% certain the safety and the need for them to be there. But I also know that we have other areas of the city that we have been talking about upgrading equipment for. I do have a question about why we would choose to do a cul-de-sac versus just a dead end there. I can see the property owners, whether it's 2 properties or 10 properties, if they have a smaller parcel, being impacted when we take away part of that parcel to put in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, and I think there are some other options there. I guess in general, so this is just very preliminary, sort of just so we could kind of portray what the extent of it might be and what the cost might be. But often, yes, a cul-de-sac is typically used. We've also done other sorts of turnarounds. I guess the main reason for a turnaround is that it's a public roadway, and if vehicles turn that way, and we also have maintenance equipment, snow plows and various things that if we don't provide a place for them to turn around, they either provide place for themselves to turn around, which is, off the street or on a driveway or something. And so, that's one of the, I guess, one of the reasons why we like to have some space for them. It doesn't necessarily need to be a cul-de-sac though.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's push this back 1 month, and we'll come back to it, go from there. All right, moving on to item 5, review the traffic study at 9th Street North and Wisconsin Street, and consider adding yield control on Wisconsin Street. Go ahead, Joe.
So attached in the packet is the traffic study that was performed. In some cases, so there's 2 items on the agenda, one for 9th in Wisconsin, one for 10th in Wisconsin. I guess we'll kind of take them each at a time, but some of my comments likely span into both intersections because they're immediately adjacent to each other, and part of our determination, a recommendation for them is based on the fact that they're immediately adjacent to each other. But so we went through our normal study of taking a look at the accidents. Both intersections had right angle accidents, which considering a change from uncontrolled to either yield or stop control, both of those sorts of controls would help to address the right angle accident history. 9th Street had 2 accidents, right angle, one in 2021, one in 2024, and then I believe Wisconsin at 10th had 4 accidents, all right angle, between 2017 and 2024, with 2 of them occurring in 2023. We also went out, checked the vision triangles. There's one vision issue. There's a large boulder out there that is above 30 inches that does restrict the vision to some degree. We also did traffic counts and looked at the 85th percentile speed. Both cases, the speed's fairly low, just coming off of Baker Street or A Street. And then the traffic counts are below, either at or below 125 vehicles a day for both intersections. And so the recommendation that we've come to, in conformance with the city's ordinance and the manual on uniform traffic control devices, and all the guidance that we provide, is that we recommend a yield sign on Wisconsin for both 9th and 10th Street on the basis of the accident history, as well as the proximity of these 2 uncontrolled intersections, essentially isolated from several blocks away from any other uncontrolled intersections. So these 2 intersections are isolated. So it's an uncontrolled intersection amongst a bunch of controlled intersections. So that's another reason. And then lastly, because they're immediately off of Baker Street and A Street, high volume roadways, that there would be some indication of needing some sort of control immediately off of those heavier traveled roadways, that immediately coming off of those 1 block over and being in an uncontrolled situation. For those 3 reasons, we recommend adding yield signs on Wisconsin Street at 9th Street.
Thank you, Joe. Questions, comments?
I guess I would be in favor of this. We drive through here quite a bit in the morning. with how school being down the road, there's a lot of foot traffic, a lot of bikes and whatnot with the kids and all that. I would be in favor of putting a yield sign there, kind of slow things down and make people look twice, maybe 3 times, safety reasons.
Is that a motion?
I would make a motion to put a yield sign there. However, the wording has to be, but yeah.
That should cover it?
I have said it before and I'll say it again. I really like these intersection studies. It makes it clear and easy to read and understand and explain to people. And with that, I second Jeff's motion to add a yield sign on Wisconsin and 10th Street. At 10th
Okay.
Street.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to vote. All in favor respond with aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, next item is to review a traffic study at 10th Street North and Wisconsin Street and consider adding yield control on Wisconsin Street. Go ahead, Joe.
So all the aforementioned apply to 10th Street as well, and the recommendation here is the same with the yield control being added on Wisconsin Street.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? I'll make a motion to add yield signs on Wisconsin Street and 10th Street North.
I would second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to vote. All in favor respond with aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, item 7, review and consider request from Alderperson Pollock to install an always stop at 14th Street North and Apricot Street. Go ahead, Joe.
So included in the packet is the traffic study that was performed at this location I believe it was in April. The report is dated April 30th. Essentially, the outcome of that was no additional signage was needed. Visibility was, vision triangles, visibility was fine except for one corner. There was some brush, and I believe that the outcome of the last time we brought it to committee was that we were going to have that vision corner addressed with removal of the vegetation that's there. As far as accidents go, one accident reported, at least at the time of the report that we had available. The incident occurred in 2023, involving a vehicle failing to yield at the stop sign at 14th Street, causing a right angle accident. And going through our vehicles, traffic counts, 85th percentile speed, 31 miles per hour, that's not uncommon for a street like Apricot Street. The average annual daily traffic was 102 vehicles a day, so relatively low. And then, kind of where our all the information that we put together, what falls in that matrix. It's even, we keep the two-way stop sign, but all of the criteria are falling in the yield sign category. But I think, certainly we'd stick with the two-way stop on that. But the recommendation coming out at the time of the study was no additional signage was recommended, and that removing that landscape and clear vision triangle should be taken care of. And I guess as an introduction to it, I guess that's kind of where things are at.
Thanks, Joe. Alder Pollock is in attendance. This is your referral. Would you care to speak to this issue?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to recognize Bill Abel, and he'd like to address the committee, and I'll probably have some comments later.
Just hit the button on the mic, make sure the green light comes on, and state your name and address, please.
Willie Riggle, 1510 Apricot Street. I understand the study. Makes complete sense to me. This summer, we've had a lot of speeding issues running down Apricot. More commonly with bikes, as in crotch rockets, mostly is what it seems to be running by. They come to that 11th Street North and Apricot intersection, heading eastbound towards Robinson Park, and they gun it. Flying. 60, I'm gonna say 60 to 80 miles an hour. I'm up here as a father, and when I see that, if one of my kids, God forbid, something happens to any kid on that street, I'm gonna live with that for the rest of my life. There's 31 miles an hour, maybe an average on a road like that, but it's still speeding by 6 miles an hour on that particular kind of road. I guess I'm looking to hopefully try to slow some of these people down. I will be honest, I did have a confrontation with this person that on August 9th of this year. He was driving by, I heard him, stopped him, and he hasn't been back in 2 months. Was that all it needed? Maybe, until for this summer. Will he be back next summer? I don't know. And that's not the only occurrence. There's many others, but I'm not outside all the time either. And so, is there something, maybe we can move something to the 16th Street intersection to help slow some of this traffic down a little bit? Because there's no stop signs, no yield signs from 11th Street North all the way to when you round the curve to Baker Street, to Baker Drive there. That curve is the first thing that slows anybody down, right there, heading to the south, back to Baker Street. I guess I would like to see something hopefully done with helping to slow the traffic down a little bit. Because it just, I mean, my case is different than others, but my daughter and I, my youngest, are under the understanding, she goes across the road, we give each other a thumbs up. No ifs, ands, or buts. So, I mean, yeah.
Thank you. And I think we can all sympathize with your argument here. You know, the thing that we're tasked with though is understanding, you know, what's required and then trying to implement the best thing and ensuring that we're not, you know, just willy-nilly putting stop signs where we're potentially having some issues. And I'm not discounting your argument here one bit. Obviously, you know, taking matters into your own hands is sometimes is necessary, but it can be and also be a dangerous thing to do. But has the PD ever been contacted about this? Was there ever a request to maybe install the radar sign at this location ever, or anything like that?
I personally never reached out. This August 9th occurrence, I did call 911. Well, by then, I mean, who knows where he would have been. I never heard back whether they found him or not, or I didn't hear anything back after that particular occurrence. So.
Yeah, that would definitely be a good resource. I mean, be it temporary, but you know, a lot of the times when that radar sign goes out, it helps build awareness to the community that, you know, the speed limit is going to be enforced. So that might be a good course of action for you as well. Not to hog the spotlight here. Anybody else from committee want to chime in?
I was going to say the same thing, that even if we were to put in a four-way stop, I doubt somebody driving 80 and a 35 is going to slow down or care that it's there, and I don't want that. But I agree that involving the PD and having a little more presence in that area, especially in the times that you see the most traffic and the most people like speeding on that roadway. Now, since it sounds like it's slowed down, I don't think it would be beneficial to have, well, not as beneficial versus in this early spring and summer when you know it's likely going to happen.
I live in that neighborhood. This summer has been nothing but a headache. There's been a lot of rip pockets, there are people living there that need slowing down. I guess I would be in favor of this stop sign. I drive this road pretty much every day. I would say 6 to 10 times a day. It's gonna slow people down a little bit, but I think that's what they need. Bill's right, first thing you do is you slow down when you hit the viaduct and you swing around Baker Street. Anybody putting her to the floor has got a pretty good run, and they're not afraid of nothing. There's kids in the area. I would be in favor of putting a stop sign in, although I understand your argument about doing it willy-nilly. I feel that this one is definitely warranted. You see, I see it every day, and I'm kind of a little bit conservative with this stuff. Safety is always a concern. So that would be my statement on this. I would be for the stop sign.
Joe?
So I did reach out to the police chief. They will be putting the radar trailer out there, as well as time allows, to provide enforcement of the speed limit on that street. I don't know exactly what that'll look like or how much time they'll have to do that, but he did offer that his staff will be doing that. And then I guess just to add to that, speed issues are largely an enforcement issue, especially in a situation like this. We do have, outside of physical improvements meaning maybe a narrower street or bump outs that, like the curb lines that bump out from where they're at currently, that for a driver's perspective, it feels like a narrower street, but any street that we're providing parking on, two travel lanes plus 2 lanes of parking, the street gets wide. And so yeah, travel speeds do increase on straight sections of roadway that are wide. People feel, 85% of the people feel that traveling 31 miles per hour is a safe speed to travel at. Take clear vision, straight, no obstacles, a few cars parked on the street. Nevertheless, with kids around and violators, that sense of safety can quickly diminish. One other thing that I wanted to provide to everybody here tonight is that when we do these studies, from an engineering perspective, engineering judgment, we're beholden to the city's ordinances, we're beholden to the federal regulations that the city's adopted through the ordinances. I mentioned the manual on uniform traffic control devices. They expressly prohibit the use of using yield signs or stop signs for speed control, primarily for the purpose of, they're meant to control traffic, not speed. And in the instances that they have been used, because this isn't a new issue for communities to grapple with how do we control speeds, a lot of communities have used stop signs to try to control speeds. And what they find is that it's kind of twofold. They find the traffic speeds between the stop signs actually goes up, and then the disobedience, I guess, the adherence to the actual stop sign starts to decrease. That you get rolling stops, you get drive-throughs, because it's not meant to control traffic because of a certain volume or vision restrictions. It's an improperly placed, it's an unwarranted stop sign. But so that's largely from an engineering perspective, how we look at these things. And certainly I sympathize with the children, safety, and certainly wouldn't want to see anything bad happen either.
Any other comments? Mr. Powell?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Joel, those are good comments you made, and I'm real familiar with the book that you're looking at. And over the years, I've been involved with installing on committees where we have put in 4-way stops. And because of the traffic, just to name a couple of them would be 17th Avenue and Case by Meade School. And there was opposition to putting that in, but it was put in. The other one was Peace Street and 16th Street. Now theirs was a real good example. It's from traffic zipping through from Baker to Chestnut Street. And there was opposition for that one also. But when the committee came out there were a lot of neighbors that were out there. Anyway, the four-way stop was put in there. Now, at that time, there was a school involved with it. Water and Light was there. And I think, I would agree that I think a stop sign is about the only way of preventing what's happening out there. And I'd like to see the committee at least recommend that it went that far, because I think it would make a big difference. So, thank you.
So from making a decision standpoint, we have our ordinances, which are guided by the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices and other state guidelines. I have read exactly where that is in our municipal code, but can we even make this recommendation? Is it something that we're allowed to make even against?
I guess I could say that it's happened before, as far as the, what's the right term for it, but if it's legal or not, that I don't know, but I know that the city councils made decisions contrary to what, the basis that we're using to make the decisions that are ultimately put in the ordinance. They've been contrary to those, but.
One other question. I know I would make plenty of enemies in the street department if this were the solve all to speed issues, but in the southern states, they use speed bumps. That is going to ruin our snowplows, so I do not want them out all year. But have we ever looked into having anything like that, like a removable, put it out for the summer, which sounds like the biggest issue?
I'll just be honest, I'll deal with the speed, not a speed bump. I'll deal with the speed.
You only have to go over a speed bump fast once. You've learned your lesson.
Agree.
We have looked at them, at various committee meetings and issues that have come up. I don't believe we've ever purchased any devices or deployed any devices like that that I'm aware of. Not in recent time, anyway.
Thank you.
All right, what are the committee's wishes?
I would make a motion to put the stop sign in at the intersection of Apricot Street and 14th Street North.
All right, we have a motion. Sounds like it may die without a second. Okay. Motion dies on the floor. Any other further action on this item? Okay, no action taken.
Can I just say something quick?
But
I appreciate the discussion tonight at least. Thank you for reaching out to the police department as far as getting a speed limit tracker. I don't think it's going to make much difference this time of year, but I mean, even I reach out spring or summer. If it becomes an issue next summer again, I can always reach out again if it becomes an issue again. Like I said, I just hate to see something happen, but if you think in this case, I mean, guidelines and everything else state that a stop sign or yield sign makes it worse for the occasion, I don't want to see somebody get in a car accident either. I mean, you don't want to see any of this. But I appreciate the discussion tonight. Thank you.
I truly hope that the police department and the enforcement helps slow down the speed in this area, and I would have no problem bringing it back if it doesn't.
And obviously this item will go to council, so it could be brought forth at council later this month as well, potentially.
All right, thank you again.
All right, moving on to item 8, review the referral list. Is there anything to speak to on the referral list on your side of the world, guys? Paul, Joe?
There was just one that came in this afternoon from Jennifer, from Alderperson Delaney, to discuss and consider garbage and recycling services for mobile home parks. So that one will be added for next month.
Okay. Anybody from committee, referrals? Doesn't look like there's anything to update. Well, we can strike item 9 for the time being. All right, we'll move on. Item 9 is set the next meeting date. Calendar here. It looks like it would be the 7th of November. Any objections? 5 p.m. Okay, the 7th it is. And item 10, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I would second that.
Motion a second, all in favor, respond with aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks everyone, have a great evening.